Hello, Alyssa. My name is Joseph, and I am here to help you solve this problem. I'm going to go back to the board. This is it. This looks like this box right here. That's the variable that you need to find. So we need to solve for x. We have the percentage. We have the beginning price, and we have the ending price. It seems like this number right here should be 40% of 2350. In other words, this number should be the difference between these two numbers. Because if the first price was 2350, in the final price, the markup selling price went up to 4140, and the problem is asking you what this number is. This number went up by 40%. This number right here did not go up by 40% because this is the final number. I'm just defining the terms and the numbers in this problem so you understand the concept of this problem. This number right here does not go up by 40%. It's this number that went up by 40%. And I'm thinking this because this is the lower number and this is the higher number. If the higher number is not going to go up anymore because this is the markup selling price percent markup. This is the final price. This is the beginning price. This one right here, this number, the first price, went up by 40%. If this number is increased, marked up 40%, which it shows that it did, it went up to 4140. So how do we find, the question at this point is where did this 40% come from? How do we calculate this number in a way such that 2350 went all the way up to 4140, almost 100% of the price? How could a manufacturer or anybody selling a product have a price that is just almost doubles? Anyways, back to your problem. I didn't mean to go off on a tangent, but 2350 right here went up to 4140 by 40%. So the question at this point, what's the difference between the two? Or in other words, how much money was added upon this to equal 4140? The way that we find out how much money is added was added to 2350 to get to 4140, we just find the difference, right? So you subtract 4140 from 2350. And I'm going to do that on my calculator real fast. 41.4 minus 23.5. That equals 17.9. 17.9 equals 4140 minus 2350. So is this number right here should be right here, right? I hope I'm right. Let's see if I'm right, because we can check our work with this kind of math. All right, so now we found X. 2350 was marked up by 40%. To help you better understand that concept, really not a concept, it's absolute, really. 23.5 times 0.40. Well, let's take a step back. 2350. In order to find what 40% of 2350, not 40% of 4140, is the final price. This is not really important right now because this is the first price, and if an organization wanted to change the price of anything, this number comes last. This becomes the product or the quotient of some kind of math problem. We are not going to look at this right now. So in order to find 40% of the first price, whether we're marking it down or marking it up. In this case, we're marking it up. So if we want to mark up 2350 by 40%, you go 2350 times 40%. But that's supposed to be a percentage and not this quite yet. 2350 times 40%, but you won't put this in your calculator, right? You're going to put 2350 times 0.40. Why? Because if you want to multiply like a normal number, a normal integer, times for a percentage, you take the what you do is you change it from being a percentage to making it a decimal, which means that you will take move the decimal point over 2 spots. So if this was 40%, you won't do this anymore. It will move the decimal point over twice, and then it'll be 0.40, just as we have right here. So what does this equal? 23.50 times 0.40. 23.5 times 0.40. That equals 9.4. So that means 40% of 2350 equals 9.4. So that means that you could take this number right here, 9.4, 40% of 2350, and subtract this from 2350. Subtract 9.4 from 2350, because this is a definite answer that 40% is 9.4 is 40% of 2350. Again, 9.4 is 40% of 2350. In order to find that, we can subtract 9.4 from 2350. Subtract 9.4 by 2350. What does that equal? 23.5 equal minus 9.4 equals 1790. So now we just checked our answer, right? And this is the right answer. And I think that's what we have right here. It says calculate the missing information, round dollars to the nearest cent. So I almost forgot that, to round this number to the nearest cent. I think we're just gonna leave it right there, 1790, because if you this is a zero, and you want to round this to $17.91. You want to round this to $17.89. Since this is a zero right here and this is a 9, you would keep it at $17.90. Anything else would be a little bit too much. Just round to the nearest cent. This is 90 cents. If this was 17.9, if the answer was 17.09, we would round that to 17.1, right? Because that's the nearest cent, and percents to the nearest tenth of a percent. Excuse me. But then again, the question says and percents to the nearest tenth of a percent. I don't think this part of the this part from and to the end of the question, this part isn't even necessary to solve this problem, because we're not rounding any percents in this problem. We didn't do that, because this right, the percent is already given to you right here. So we're not rounding that. We're not doing anything to these numbers. So this part of the question isn't even necessary. And sometimes in math, in these story problems, there may be things in that problem that doesn't even need to be there. but they will be there. And they could probably throw you off because you think you found the answer. And in this case, you did. But now the second part of the question is asking and percents to the nearest tenth of a percent. Perhaps your assignment has multiple parts that I do not see right here. But as far as this right here, there is no percents to round. And we don't round percents really. I mean, not really, not at this level, and it's not necessary, and it shouldn't even be there as far as this problem right here. You may have other things down here in other parts of your homework, but as far as this part right here, it's $17.90. And we don't have to round this anywhere because it's already 17.9. If it was 17.09, we will round this to 1. This would be 17.1. Round to the nearest tenth. Well, the nearest cent. Since the nearest cent is 10 cents, we just make it 17.10 cents. If this was 17. Let's say 0.06, we would round that to like a little better number, like a half or something like 0.05 or something like that. You know, or if this was 17.54, you know, at this level, we will put at this level of mathematics, we'll put 17.55 to round to the nearest cent. This is a better number. This is 4 pennies right here, but this is just a nickel. 4 pennies, and this is a nickel. This just looks better. This is a lot better. So yes, 17.90. Just to recap, 40% is derived from this number. It's not derived from 4140 because this is the final price. We need to find what is 40% of $23.50. And how the way we did that is go 2350 times 0.40. Not 40%, but 0.40. 2350 times 0.40, which is equals 9.4. In order to find, this is the first step. And the second step is going 23.50 minus 9.4 and equals 1790. This number right here is the difference between these two numbers. And that's the amount the price was marked up. And I think this box right here wants to know how much did the price change? How much price change? And all we did was find the difference. 41.4 minus 2350, 1790. The reason why I went down here is to show you that just in an extra sense to show you how to find a percentage of a number in the case such that 4140 was not given to you. Because if you add 23.5 plus 1790, it equals 4140. So you know, like when you're solving numbers, solving equations and stuff like that, I'm gonna do some erasing. So if you're solving for x and anything, like sometimes they give you 3 numbers and you have a variable. In this case, you have these numbers given to you, and here's your x. So let's say this would be like, you know, like 2x equals 4. Excuse me. Solve for x, right? Solve for x. X equals 2. Because you divide both sides by 2. X equals 2. But in this case, we have 3 things given to us and 1 variable. But it's asking calculate the missing information, which is this box. We already have the percentage that it went up. This percentage is based on the starting cost. What is 40% of 2350? 9.4. Add to find the um, subtract 2350 from no subtract 9.4 from 2350, which is 9.4 is 40% of 2350. So you subtract 9.4 to 2350 to get the exact number of 40% of 2350, which is 1790. And since it's a markup, you take this number and add it to 2350, not subtract it. I know we subtracted 9.4 from 2350. 9.4 from 2350 because that's what we were just trying to find what's 40% of 2350, which is 9.4, and then in order to find that number, these are the two steps to find the percentage of a number. Multiply it by the percentage and get your number, and then subtract this number from the original number, 17.90. All right, so and it's worthy to note that sometimes this will not be here, but this will be given to you, or this will not be here, and all of these will be a given, or perhaps this won't be here, and you're only given these three numbers. You know, I'm sure you're familiar with that. Your teacher already threw that at you. If not, your professor or teacher is coming, and you just solve for X. You always solve for X, and you can always check your number as we did here. When you're doing these kind of problems, you can always check your answer and then just plug it into the equation, and then see if you have the right answer. Always with equations, not algorithms or functions or things like that. It gets a little bit more difficult. But when you have like 1x equals 1, x is going to equal 1, right? You can check your answer. So I suggest, like, when you solve for x, it's good for you to know how to plug this number back into the problem in a way such that on one side of the equation, it looks like this, and the other side looks like this. But when you're done, x equals y, or x equals x. In equations, that has equation marks, the left side is going to equal the right side. So you take at all times, every time. So you can take these numbers right here and plug them in back into your equation. And sometimes when you're in school, when you're taking a test, you may not feel like it or whatnot to plug your numbers back in. Maybe you ran out of time. But in order for you to know whether if you really, really, really want to make sure and check your work, if you have the time to, if you're taking a test, that you can plug these numbers back in here and do the math, and one side of the equation should equal the other side of the equation. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me or reply to this message, and perhaps even you can tag your professor into this or anyone else. I would like to know if I approach this problem correctly. This is my first question that I answered on Wyzant, on Ask an Expert. This is my very first one, so I felt like I really need to go in depth and really make sure that I knew what I was talking about and really get used to the Wyzant platform. And you've helped me with your question because I'm really warming up, as you can see, as you can hear. Trying to get acclimated to this platform. So if you can reply to this, whether if I was right or wrong, check my answer with someone else. to see what they said. I'd appreciate it. And if you want any more lessons at this rate, problems like this, if you're still currently having questions like this, I'll be glad to be your tutor with that. You could hire me to give you a lesson with this if you like. All right. My name is Joseph. I'd appreciate it. Thank you.